Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Saturday Morning Coffee with Back to Basics Dog Training. Welcome. For those of you who know me or don't know me, I'm Leon. I'm the trainer here over at Back to Basics Dog Training. And each and every Saturday morning at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I bring to you a live free dog training Q&A session where none of your questions are off limits. You can ask me anything you want about your dog's behaviors. Um, Good behaviors or unwanted behaviors, whatever it may be. Um, and if you're watching now live or later on the replay, please put your comments in. Let me know you're watching, where you're watching from. As you can tell, I'm right now back in South Carolina after about 3 weeks up in New York. I do want to apologize to some of my New York customers. I did not get a chance to reach out to you. It became a lot more hectic than I thought. Um, so I do apologize for that. But we're back and we're ready to go live. We'll be live again, of course, on Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock, and then next Saturday back on Long Island. Um, so we're going to talk about a topic of the week, as always, until I start seeing some questions coming up. And this week we're going to talk about a big issue that I've been getting a lot of calls on. Again, it's about leash reactivity. Um, I had the privilege of working with somebody last week who had a dog that is great with another dog in a dog park, um, other dogs in the dog park, but on leash, very reactive, and it's almost a guttural reaction. And it is kind of common, guys, for dogs to react differently on a leash than they do in the open field of a dog park. Because if we remember, dogs have the same mechanisms we do when they're perceived in a situation that's uncomfortable, which is fight and flight. So if a dog is on leash and they don't have that flight mechanism, they're going to go into a defensive stance if they're that type of dog. I'm not saying all dogs do it. And you're going to see the hackles come up. You're going to hear the guttural growls. You're going to maybe hear some barking and snapping and truly what looks like aggressive behavior. Doesn't mean your dog is aggressive. It means it just doesn't know how to be comfortable when it doesn't have that flight mechanism to kick in to say, oh my God, there's another dog coming. I need to leave. I can't. I'm on a leash. Um, and we really found out what worked. We went to a dog park area where there was a lot of dogs. So it was a great way to see the reaction. The first thing I said when I saw them walked up is, oops, they got a harness on. And a dog walked by and this little guy went absolutely crazy. I saw it. It was I need to protect myself. I need to protect my pack. I need to do this. And he was in a frenzy. I took the leash. I made corrections. And as I've stated before, it is super hard to make corrections when a dog is on a harness. You have to correct the whole body. And really what you want to correct is the brain, not the whole entire body. So we switched the lead to my simple slip leash, guys. A simple slip leash. Nothing fancy, nothing elaborate. Literally a slip leash. And the next dog that passed, the correction was done that quick, and the dog's like, "Whoa, okay, maybe I'm not allowed to do this," because by having the proper tool made it easier for me and for you to communicate better with your dog. When you use a harness, you're communicating to, like I said, the whole entire body. When you use a martingale collar, a slip leash, or anything that goes up on the dog's neck, you're communicating more with their brain if your energy is calm. The four C's of dog training: calm, confidence, consistency to get the control. As long as you stay calm, confident, when you have this telegraph wire going from your hand to the dog's collar, your dog's going to understand the difference so much quicker than they can when we're using a harness. And these people saw it. It was like an eye opener for them. That, oh my God, this dog, just changing the tool changed this dog. Now, I'm not saying slip leash is always the answer. I'm not saying harnesses aren't the answer. I'm not saying gentle leaders are the answer or aren't the. Different tools work for different people. You know, I've said this before, and we're going to talk a little bit about tools until I start seeing some questions come up. Tools are only as good as the user that's handling the tool. You know, if you use a 30-pound sledgehammer to hang your picture hooks, you better be real gentle with it, and the tool will work good. So it's a great tool for doing that. But if you use the 30-pound sledgehammer and you're beating it, it's not a great tool for hanging a picture. So tools are only as good as the user behind them. So if you're comfortable with a gentle leader, your energy is going to change. Your dog's going to read your energy and say, okay, this is a good tool. If you're more comfortable like I am with slip leashes, my energy changes when I put a slip leash on a dog and the dog understands it. So don't be afraid of tools. I have some customers that as soon as they feel, the human feels so much more confident when they use a prong collar on the dog. They use it properly, it doesn't hurt the dog, but they feel confident with it. So that means they're calm, they're confident, the dog responds to it. So don't shy away from different tools. There are a plethora of different tools out on the market that can help us gain access to a better behaved dog. But again, tools themselves will never ever hurt your dog if used properly. If you don't use it properly, with some of these tools, could you hurt the dog? Yeah. A gentle leader, if not used properly, goes around the dog's snout, and if you make a hard correction, you're snapping the dog's neck, you can actually cause neck damage to a dog. But it's a great, great tool. I know so many people that use them that have huge, huge success with a gentle leader, but they use it right. Their energy changes, they're calmer, the dog feels the energy. It's a snowball effect. So if you're using a harness and you're having a hard time walking your dog, change the tool. Be careful. Always, if your vet never said your dog has a trachea issue, there's absolutely nothing wrong with putting a collar, a martingale collar, a slip leash, or something on your dog, and you will instantly, almost instantly, see better results. Now, reality is, if a dog is used to walking with a harness and understands with that harness they are in control, what will happen is, in some cases, it's happened to me. I put my slip leash on, and the dog says, "Oh my God, I'm losing control. I need to fight this. I don't like this." And they do that bucking bronco alligator death roll temper tantrum. Let them do it. Stay calm. Guide them through the temper tantrum, and then once they're done, just move forward. Um, we had it with the dog that I worked with this week. I think it was this week. I don't remember anymore. Um, when I first switched over from the harness to the slip leash, it kind of threw a temper tantrum. It wasn't that dramatic, but I guided him through it, and then we just moved forward. And we took a nice walk. We walked around the dog park with other dogs rushing the fence at us. And I think after the first initial uh, issue we had one other issue, but I don't blame that dog. It was the energy of the other dog. But the good thing is I was able to quickly unlock the dog I was working with brain, saying, "Now, even though that dog's acting goofy, you're not allowed to." Then when we teach our kids, if your friends jump off the bridge, you're not allowed to. So just because this one dog over here is acting goofy doesn't mean you're allowed to. That still needs to represent calm to you. You need to be the better citizen, the better person, the better dog at all times. And like I said, I know this works because of Zoe. We walk by dogs all day long, and some of these dogs are just bat crap crazy. And Zoe knows she's not allowed to react to that energy. She knows she has to stay calm. Now, if I don't like the energy of the dog, I don't let Zoe interact with that dog. That's my job. The other thing I want to explain, because when I was talking to these people at the dog park, they didn't understand the leashes. When we're out walking our dogs on a leash and we see other dogs, it's not about them interacting as if they're in a dog park or in a yard. When dogs are on a leash and they're out there walking, one, they don't need to be up each other's tuchuses smelling each other. They sense of smell is strong enough. They know that Fido ate, kibbles and bits or whatever from 5 feet away. They don't need to be up each other's butt because the leash needs to represent calm. And if you let them get too close, that instigates play or some other type of energy. When we meet people on the street with dogs, the best thing you can do is go for a walk with the other dog. Don't let them get tangled up in the leashes. Don't let them get you tangled up in the leash because that can be dangerous. They can get they can be dangerous if a dog gets tangled up in the leash. You can hurt the dog gets scared and go into a fight mode or whatever it may be. So you go for a walk, a pack walk. And again, if you're not sure of the dog, you're not sure about energy, it should always be dog, human, human, dog. You're going together. And eventually you can even change it up. So if you're walking and you're side by side with the human, one goes in front, one goes behind. And this way it changes the pack dynamics a little bit. Now we got dog A being a leader because it's in front of the pack. And watch how dog B reacts to it. Look how dog A reacts to it. There's a dog I worked with not too long ago here, up down here, where when she was behind Zoe, she was fine. She walked, she did really, really well. Then we switched it and we put her in front of Zoe, and then I constantly got to look back over my shoulder, like, what's going on behind me? What's going on behind me? What's going on behind me? So one that tells me she's the middle of the pack to the back of the pack dog because she's nervous when things are behind her. She's unsure. So of course we kept her up front and guided her through it because there was nothing to be unsure about. But when we're walking with dogs and we meet other dogs on the street, yes, you may get reactions. Learn how to correct the reaction. Look for the early signs, make your corrections, say, okay, we need to be calm. And then invite that person, it could be a stranger, invite them to go for a walk together with you. But do it in a smart, controlled way. Dog, human, human, dog. And just go down the street, have a nice conversation with a neighbor or a friend or a relative or whoever it may be, and teach them different ways to interact with dogs on leashes. When dogs are on leashes, it should almost be like we tell our kids inside voices. You kids act differently in a classroom than they do it in the playground. Well, when we're out there walking, it's a classroom environment. It's not about recess and playing. And this doesn't matter if you live in an apartment and the dog doesn't get a lot of physical activity or play with other dogs. That's not what a walk is designed to do. That again, I don't like when dogs do this on leashes. It can and will create problems that you don't want. So, since a walk is about structure and leadership, the walk, when you're walking with one dog, two dogs, 20 dogs, 40 dogs, should all be based on calm. We used to do when I was up on Long Island pack walks in the Holbrook area and in the Port Jeff area, and we'd have 10 to 20 dogs with us, and there was no roughhousing when they were on leash because they were in class. And by promoting it that way, we were able to enjoy the walks around Holbrook and the harbor of Port Jefferson. And it was great. Nobody was stressed. Everybody was relaxed. It was very structured. And we would change with 10 or 20 dogs where certain dogs were in the pack and the walk to teach them better ways because there are front of the pack dogs, middle of the pack dogs, and back of the pack dogs. But since we want our dogs to be balanced, they should be comfortable to trust us no matter what position they are in the pack. It's not forcing them. If you have a back of the pack dog and you put them up front, I'm not going to force them to accept being up front. I'm going to guide them through being up front. And if that makes sense, guys, put it in the comments. I'm not getting any comments. I'm not even getting good morning. Um, so there's ways you can do things to help your dogs coexist. People should be out walking their dogs, and you shouldn't hear noise when people walk in their dogs. Yes, they get excited. I'm not saying they don't, but walking the dog is being in classroom, and there's no talking in a classroom. So I hope that makes sense, guys. Let me know in the comments. I'm not seeing any comments, so this may be one of my shortest slides yet. Um, Remember, the goal is to help one dog and one family at a time. So I'm only as good as you guys are. Um, we really want to help. Hi, Nancy. It's simple. It's a simply time and experience to get the dog comfortable anywhere in the pack. Is it simply? Yeah, it's simply time. Time and patience, and trust the calm confidence that you have to, to let Trixie know that no matter what position she is in that pack, she's fine. So she could be up front, she's fine. She could be in the middle, she's fine. She could be in the back, she's fine. Because you're going to be fine with it. She's going to read that from you. And if she's not, it's guiding her through the process so she understands it's okay. I've worked with enough dogs and done enough pack walks where I've seen dogs who are up front and just are not comfortable. And if they're really, really, really going to shut down on me, then I do it even at a slower pace. I may just have them up there for a minute and then bring them right back to the back of the pack and then slowly bring my way back up forward. So they learn that, hey, we're gonna we're gonna work you through it. We're not gonna force feed it. Remember, when we deal with insecurities and a dog that is a back of the pack dog that we're trying to put up front, that's dealing with an insecurity. Um, is if you force them to stay in the front, you're not helping them. You have to guide them through it. So if I get a little bit of success where I'm walking and they're not looking over their shoulder, I may change my position very quickly and then redo it. And that time between that look over the shoulder should slowly diminish. Okay, I noticed it doesn't have to be a dog behind it. It could be a car, a person, something blowing in the wind. Yeah. Well, she is insecure. She has some insecurities. The, when we deal with it, a car coming up, just understand. I worked with a dog last week. I was visiting friends while I was there, and the dog was showing me, which was the weirdest thing. It reacted, it got scared of car headlights. Not the car so much, it got scared of the headlights, which I don't understand. And again, I don't ask a lot of questions. I don't ask why. So we stayed in front of their driveway for 15, 20 minutes, whatever it was, and we guided this dog through that part of the fear. So what I can see happening with that dog before is if they're walking and a car comes up behind them, they're going like this. Same thing you're describing here. Um, so what I did is I just stopped and we let cars pass with headlights on. And when he didn't react, we praised, praised, praised. And if he went into a full blown, I need to get the hell out of here, I just guided him through. If that makes sense. If I caught him as soon as he started getting a little alert to the car lights, I'd correct him. I'd say, no, no, focus on me, pal. Don't worry about those lights. They're not going to hurt you. This is what was going through my mind. So my energy reflected this. So I'm saying, okay, the car lights aren't going to hurt you. Relax. Trust me that they're not going to hurt you. And within 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever it was, I don't remember, he got it. He understood that, hey, those lights passed and nothing bad happened to me. And it's the same thing. So it could be a car, a person, or something blowing in the wind. I would just stop and get her to go back to a calm state of mind. And once she does, move forward. And then you hear the car coming behind you, stop right there, have her in a sit position, let her observe the cars going by. You're in a pretty quiet area, so not a lot of cars go by. But if you can take her to a place where is some traffic, where it's safe and it's controlled, I would do that. And just make her sit there and observe cars passing. Let her realize nothing bad is happening. And they give it up. Same thing I do with sounds. Same thing I do when dogs are afraid of humans. I I guide them through any of their insecurities / fears so they understand, hey, nothing bad is happening. That person can be next to me. And I don't have to feel like, oh my God, I'm going to get my, whatever's going through their mind. It's guiding them through it. We're not force feeding it. We're guiding them through it. And every little win you get, praise, 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 praise. That's what we did with Jackson, was the dog. Every time he didn't react to a car coming by, good boy, yes. I pat him on the head. I rub his, underneath his neck. I scratch his ears, whatever it was. And he realized that was such a better reaction to me popping the leash or correcting him or, just work her through. She will get it. She picked up so many things for us so quickly. So just work her through it. She'll get it. But trust, the biggest thing I can tell you guys is trust yourselves. Because if you don't trust yourself in that situation, it's going to be super, super hard for the dogs to trust us. Every single dog I ever work with, I trust myself that I'm going to do the right thing for this dog. That's why I always say, if you only say no to your dog and you don't turn the no into a yes, in my opinion, it's borderline animal abuse because you're not teaching them what you're expecting. You're just saying no. If you're correcting your dog with anything that can hurt, scare, or intimidate your dog, you are borderline abusing your dog. That's why I always say we're guiding them through these things. And since I have so much calm confidence and trust in myself. She does. She's doing much better walking with her short leash, keeping her head up, and that eating thing's beautiful. And again, there's times when you just can't let them. I mean, short leash is really, really good for structure, um, and it's really important. It does stop them from eating things. Um, and like in Nancy's case, where you live in a development or even in a neighborhood, if they spray chemicals for lawns, because that's this time of the year, some of those things are toxic to dogs. You don't want them eating the grass or picking up something that may have gotten contaminated by the pesticides being used for treating the grass. And the other thing I'll tell you, people, and I don't remember if I said this last week when I did my lives, based on what happened with Trixie. If you're walking in your neighborhood and you see those little signs that the chemical people put on people's front lawns, when you get back home, please wipe your dog's paws and underbelly and all anything that got in contact with that could have gotten in contact. Wipe them down. Get them. Take antibacterial wipes. Wipe their paws. Wipe their chest. Wipe their belly if they're small dogs and they can get it on their belly. Wipe their legs down, not just their paws. Make sure small dogs, full legs, bigger dogs, ankle down at least. Um, it's safer. It's the same thing I tell people with puppies when we walk puppies because that's so scary. You never take a puppy outside until they get all their shots. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I take all my puppies outside day one. What I do is when I get back in, I wipe them completely down. One, it gets them used to being handled. So when it rains, I can dry them and I don't get the game playing with the towel. Um, it gets them used to being handled for a groomer or a vet. So just wipe them down. It can't hurt. I'd rather you guys act with the side of caution than have the, oh my God, my dog walked in something, didn't eat anything, but then got home and licked their paws and they ended up getting some sort of thing from a chemical or animal poop or whatever. Um, so wipe them down, get them used to it, but be aware of what's going on in your neighborhood. If somebody had their yard sprayed, I think by law they have to put those little posted things there with the things for at least 24 hours. If you see them, try to avoid them, of course. But if you have no choice, when you get home, wipe your dog's paws down. An ounce of prevention is a pound of cure. I think that's the saying. Can't hurt. So, unfortunately, guys, I'm not getting a lot of comments. So, we're going to wrap this up really early today. And we got to do something to get some more comments on here. So, whoever is watching, please remember to share this information with your friends and relatives around the country and around the world. Because the more people we get on there, the more questions I can answer, the more pumped up I get. I would like this to last every Saturday morning, at least 1 hour, every Tuesday evening, at least 1 hour. But I base it on the comments and the feedback. So, again, if you're a member of a rescue group and you're joining us, share this with the fellow fosters and volunteers at the rescues and the shelters. Because if we can help one of those dogs have a more fulfilled life, of course we're going to try to do that. That's my whole tag phrase together. We can help one dog and one family at a time. Anything we can do to get the word out there that this is a free service that Back to Basics Dog Training is putting out there to help our dogs and help us humans too, of course. Have a more morning, Teresa. Sorry for the last minute question. How do I prevent my dog from pulling on the leash? Well, the first thing I would say, Teresa, is the walk needs to be calm before you get out the door. And that's one of the hardest things. In the upper right hand, I think it's the upper right hand corner, is a QR code, Teresa. I don't know if you found my YouTube channel, but if you scan that QR code, that will take you to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you do it. I have a playlist on there that's called How to Leash Train My Dog in 5 Easy Steps. I broke the walk down to 5 steps, all based on having a calm, controlled walk. So first thing I always tell people, if your dog gets excited when they see the leash, don't put the leash on your dog. Because indirectly you're rewarding the excitement, which is causing the pulling. If you get the leash on the dog, from that point on, once the leash is on your dog, you are in control. So if you get after you put the leash on the dog, and you start walking to the door, and Fido's in front of it, pulling you, stop. Bring it back, make them sit, You guide them to the door. You need to break the excitement pattern, and it starts in the house. The next step, that's all in episode one on that playlist. So again, if you haven't found my YouTube channel, please scan that QR code, um, or just look for Back to Basics Dog Training on YouTube if you can't scan it because you're on your phone or whatever. Um, Episode two is called Threshold Management. Threshold management is the most important part of the walk. And basically, what it says is teaches the dog multiple things. Front door open doesn't mean out. Gates open don't mean out. Garage door open. Don't, no place to the outside world represents it's open, you can go. Saves their lives. But it also gets them used to, and I did have videos, or I should have queued them up before I did this, just to show you what it should look like. So join me Tuesday evening, Teresa, and I'll post up the videos that I have of the dogs I just worked with doing threshold management. Basically, what threshold management should look like is you should be able to open your door with your dogs dog calmly waiting at the front door. I don't care about the sitting. I just don't want them going out the front door. You should walk out the door, loose leash. They should not attempt to come out until you give them an okay release word. So in the video that I'll post out there, it shows them. They get up before I invited them. Nope, sit until they understood they're not coming through that door until I say it's okay. And then when they come out through the door, they have to come out like ladies and gentlemen, calmly. If they bolt out the door, you bring them back in. The reason I'm saying that threshold management is so important because if you can't control the excitement there, where there's less stimulus, how can you control it outside when there's a lot more stimulus? So you have to control it. And I've told people, I've done this in my seminars, I've told them in my training sessions on this platform as well. Threshold management is so important for the walk to get them to understand. Door open doesn't mean out. You only come out when I ask you to come out or invite you to come out, and you come out like a lady or a gentleman in a calm manner. That if you have an hour dedicated to your walk and it takes you 45 minutes to get out the door the right way, the walk's 15 minutes. That's how important that part of the structure is. And I tell people, practice that multiple times a day, threshold management, until it becomes, you know, if you think about what instincts are, it's learned behaviors that become instinctual. You practice this multiple times a day until it becomes instinctual for the dog. That you open the door, they just know they're not allowed out until you tell them. It is crucial for them. One, if they know they can't bolt out the front door, it saves their lives. Two, you have more control than excitement. And then episode three, four, and five are about the structure of the walk. Basically, the first 30 you walk, you're using the magic hour. First 20 minutes of the walk is a short leash. It's not about smelling. It's not about peeing. It's not about pooping. It's about traveling. We're going from point A to point B. There will be, if you feel any pressure on the leash, feel pressure. No, until they understand it. And I do have a video showing a very reactive pulling dog. It gets me in trouble because I had to make a very hard correction, but it didn't hurt the dog or scare the dog. He got the point across though because he was just out of control, where he could have hurt somebody just by pulling. Um, but the first third of the walk, that first 20 minutes, is structure. You're healing. You're following me. You're not deviating from this. It's all about structure at that point. Episode four is about recess, which is where you can give the dog the full leash. They can smell, pee, poop, do whatever they want within reason. And my public service announcement is if your dog poops in public, please clean up after it. And episode five is about back to structure, going back to the house. Definitely watch my YouTube, but I'll have some videos up for Tuesday night. I will post the threshold management videos, and I'll talk you through them on this platform. So Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock, live and in living color. I will be doing this. So please, people, again, if you're watching now, please share this. Share my back to basics info, be it my YouTube channel or my Facebook page, with your fellow dog lovers around the country and around the world. The more people we get on here, the more dogs we can help, the more families we can help. You may have somebody come up here and ask a question, and you may be like, "Wow, that my dog did that." I didn't realize, oh, how do I fix that? So it's a snowball effect. But with that being said, guys, we're going to wrap it up for the weekend. Um, Again, unless there's any questions. So while I'm doing my wrap up, if I see any questions pop up, of course, I'll stop and answer those. So, but in the meantime, thank you for inviting me into your homes each and every Saturday morning. It is truly an honor and a privilege to be here. Um, as always, stay healthy, stay safe, God bless, and remember, together we can help one dog and one family at a time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. We'll see you Tuesday night.